And welcome once again. How is everyone doing? Yes, I'm here. Thank you for waiting. Things look a little different, as you can see. New look, new studio. We're just getting things together, so it's going to take a little bit of time. Newly moved in, so just give us a little bit of grace, and I promise you, when we meet again, be new, improved, and larger studio. So, with that being said, please go ahead and let us know the geographical area in which you are tuning in from. We all know we appreciate you. We see you. We hear you. Let us know the geographical area in which you are tuning in from tonight. And if value or an aha moment was received or even a breakthrough, we want to know that as well. So we know that what we're doing is not in vain. So please, rest assured that as well. And please, as always, comment, like, and share with somebody that you know that may receive value from watching as well. So, with that being said, episode number 252 of the Sonya Dungee podcast is being sponsored, as always, by Always Destined for Greatness, B Lips, and Drip City Customs, LLC. So, I'm going to pop in, check everyone out before we move forward. And if for whatever reason I'm unable to shout you out, I will give you that shout out in as part of the aftermath. I promise. I see that Miami has joined. Welcome, Miami. We appreciate you. For those of you who don't know who I am, my name is Sonya Dungee of the Sonya Dungee podcast, where conversation is always the essence of the soul. And of course, yes, we are still bringing the heat to the IG, Facebook, YouTube, and now TikTok streets. So tonight in episode number 252, we're going to talk about reclaiming your life. Who are you becoming after loss? And if you see me, I'm a little bit bubbly because we literally just came out of the Boss Warrior Queen Masterclass, which had a phenomenal group of people who were learning and growing. And I am confident was impacted by tonight's masterclass. So I am so appreciative of that. But we're going to go ahead for to respect your time and jump right in for tonight. So we're talking about, again, reclaiming your life. Who are you becoming after loss? You see, there are moments after grief where the question changes. At first, you ask, how did I survive this? But eventually, another question begins to rise. How do I start living again? So, tonight I'm going to be giving you 5 steps in how to be able to move forward to reclaim your life. Okay. So, in that, parental loss does not, parental loss does not just take someone that you love. It can shake your confidence. It can change your identity. It can make you wonder if the person you were before the loss is gone forever. But healing is not about becoming who you were before. It's about discovering who you are becoming now. And before we go any further with that, I just want to share my story with all of you, for those of you who might be joining for the first time, on how I became a parental grief uh, coach. So for me, excuse me, my journey began about 5.5 years ago during the height of the pandemic at the VA hospital on a Saturday on January 23rd, 2021. And it was actually 5 days before my dad's 83rd birthday. And just so that you get the full understanding, not even an entire 48 hours before, I found myself at that very hospital that I'm mentioning to you with my dad. I brought him there for one of his weekly visits, and he had a blood disease where the appearance that he was, okay, I'm sorry, got we lost signal for a moment. It gave the appearance that he was bleeding externally, but what it was is that his red blood cells weren't matriculating through the body, as his doctor explained. Like a child, they first go to preschool and then they graduate at high school. So it's the same thing. The blood cells just were not going through the body and maturing and then eventually leaving. And so that's what was going on. So um, never in a million years would I have thought that I would have been sitting in this cubicle of a room, if you will, with my dad and a medical personnel and telling us that my dad had 6 months to live. As a result of that, I did all that I could do to keep from being emotional. I was emotionless, if you will, and I just kind of had that poker face, and because I didn't want my dad to worry about me being upset. And in my mind, I was already started making preparations as the only sibling here in New York. I do have other siblings, but they were in other parts of the world or in other states. So, and I did, let them know all from start to finish what was going on. But at the end of the day, I made the decision that those 6 months that they're talking about would be the best 6 months that my dad could have under the circumstances, whether it be taking my bedroom apart and putting things in it that he needed, or his recliner that he felt a sense of comfort and peace with, etc. So with that being said, not even 48 hours after that, I find myself at my dad's bedside, knowing what the outcome was, not knowing, not wanting to be there because of the denial of what's going to come. But you see, God had a different plan. Life, and there was a different plan, and it wasn't 6 months. So as I sat at my dad's bedside and I held his hand and I looked into his face, and I witnessed this tear roll down his cheek. And it was in that moment that he took his last breath here on this earth and his first breath in heaven. And that I know as a believer. Then I wasn't able to draw on my faith. I didn't question God or any of that. I was just in a really place. So with that, unintentionally became isolated. I lost over 30 pounds without realizing it. I really wasn't speaking to anyone. I wasn't spending time with family or friends. Anybody who called or stopped by and asked me how I was doing, I would say I'm okay, when I knew good and well that I was not. And that's an indicator, folks. If you ask somebody how they're doing and they say I'm okay, that's a cry for help. That's denial. And that's where I was for 342 days, stuck in grief. And the only time I left the house was to go to Calverton National Cemetery, to the Calabarium where my dad's remains were entombed, and hang out. And I hung out there to just feel a sense of my dad. When enough became enough, I knew I couldn't do that any longer. It wasn't conducive to my well-being, my mental, my physical, and my social health. I knew I had to do something. I invested in myself. Yes, folks, that means monetarily. I sought out a coach, mentor. With that, I received the support of the Be Iconic community. I took classes. I stayed focused, intentional. I wanted to more than anything else. I knew I had a purpose in life. And as a result of that, that is why I sit before you today as a paternal grief life coach. And excuse me, and what I do is I get to help women in their early 30s to mid 50s through paternal loss and the reclaiming emotional safety and rebuilding confidence so that they can fully walk in their true purpose, their greatness that they were always destined for. So thank you for allowing me to share my story, and we're just gonna excuse me, move forward from that. So with that being said, I'm going to give you, as I promised, the 5 steps. Okay. And so the first step is going to be stop letting grief define your identity. Again, stop letting grief define your identity. You're more than what happened to you. You truly are. After loss, you see many women start introducing themselves through their pain. They say, I'm the daughter who lost her father. I'm the son who lost his mother. I'm the person who is grieving. Your loss is part of your story, but it's not your entire identity. Ask yourself, have I allowed my grief to become the loudest voice in my life? And I can answer that truthfully for myself. I did. Step 2, acknowledge what changed. You see, you can't rebuild what you refuse to recognize. Loss you, your relationships may have changed, your emotions may have changed, but give yourself the permission to admit life is different now. That honesty creates space for healing. What part of my old life am I still holding on to that I really and truly may need to lovingly release? And let me just put a disclaimer in before we move forward. There's no time frame on grief. Others grieve longer than some others. I have come to find out that one of my friends is still grieving her husband that went to be with the Lord over 30 years ago, and she texted that to me a short time ago. There's no manuals, there's no how-tos, there's no perfect way to, no matter what anybody tries to tell you. I'm sharing, I'm talking from my own experience. And I'm sharing with you the steps in which I took. Because when I was in the midst of my grief and I was stuck for those 342 days before I even did anything to make a change or want to change, to navigate my way through the healing journey, I didn't know where to go. I didn't know to go check out a podcast. I didn't know. You don't know what you don't know until you know what it is that you need to know. And that's why I'm sitting here before you today. And that's why there is a Sonya Dungee podcast. Because I truly want to help those that are ready to be helped to navigate through grief. So in step 3, reconnect with yourself. Meet the person you became while surviving. You see, sometimes we spend so much time caring for everyone else that we forget our own selves. Guilty as charged. But ask yourself, what brings me? What dreams did I put away? What parts of myself did grief silence? Reflect on, who was I before grief told me? Rewrite the story that you're telling yourself. Change that narrative. Maybe your story has been, I lost my parent, so my life stopped. But what if the next chapter says, I lost someone I loved, but I'm still here. I'm still growing. I still have purpose. If you picked up the pen today, what would you want the next chapter of your life to say? I'm going to ask that again. If you picked up the pen today, what would you want the next chapter of your life to say? And then step 5. Choose your next chapter with intention. Become the author of your own healing journey. You cannot rewrite the goodbyes. But what you can do, you can write what comes after. You see, your parents' love can become the foundation, not a place where your dreams stay buried. Ask yourself, what is the one thing I'm ready to reclaim about my life? Because grief may have changed the story, but always remember, you're the author of what comes next. And do not go digging out that pen of the past and allow it to write your future. Because that pen of the past, that ink should have been yanked out of there, disposed of. The pen of the past, chucked in the garbage. Because only you can write your future. And one of the things that got me through is a biblical verse that I'm going to share with you right now. And that's Proverbs 3:5-6. You hear me talk about it all the time. You hear me say, I Proverbs 3:5-6 it all day, every day, because I do. I do. And it reads, trust in the Lord with all your heart. Lean not on your own understanding. In all your ways acknowledge him, the Lord. And it is he that will direct your path. So with that being said, stay safe, stay well. God bless you all. And bye for now. And if you see me, I'm not stuck. I'm just reading some of the um, comments that I won't be able to read later. Absolutely. Stop letting grief define your identity. Acknowledge what changed. Release. Learn to let go. Let go and let God. And yes, you don't know what you don't know until you do know. So think true self-neglect can happen when you are so busy serving others and not taking care of ourselves. Absolutely. I'm glad that you love that. God bless you. You're absolutely welcome. And I will continue to always share my story. It's an adventure. So, with that being said, again, stay safe, stay well. God bless you all. And until next time, bye for now.